I was calculating the US power while setting aside emotions, propaganda, Chinese hype, and concerns about US decline. Then I realized that the true strength of the US lies in its strong fundamentals, including a robust business environment, an advanced education system, leading companies, and a formidable defense industry. Additionally, the US exerts significant global influence through financial control, such as the US dollar, which is the world's reserve currency, international institutions like the WHO, the UN, and the World Bank, and and the vast network of 750 plus military bases which are extraterritorial in nature. In comparison, Russia, China, and India are nowhere near the US. What's your take on this? So what you say makes sense. The question is, what are the components that go into constructing the score, calculating the score for a nation's power? And when we're talking about power, we're talking about hard power. Otherwise, you will have all kinds of random, not random, but all kinds of subjective factors that you will have to include. So, what are the main components of a nation's hard power score? First of all, the land area that's available to a nation, because that gives you an indication of how much resources the nation has access to. First of all, land area. Second, population. A large population gives you more manpower, which is good for you. Population is a factor. Then you have your national GDP, annual GDP. What's your annual GDP is very important. Then your defense expenditure year, your military budget for annually, the latest one. That's what goes into it. And then there are factors like the number of nuclear weapons you have, in case you have any. That is a significant factor. And also your power projection ability. How much of the global area can you cover in terms of power projection? What percentage of the global area, let's say, in terms of power projection? Then you consider risk factors like energy self-sufficiency, sovereignty, how sovereign the nation is, and so on. So that's how these are the ingredients that go into making the soup. Okay, that's a nation's hard power score. Now, strong fundamentals obviously matter, robust business environment, but how do you assign a score to a nation's business environment and its robustness? It's kind of subjective. You really can't. Then how do you assign a score out of 10, let's say, to a nation's education system? You can do it subjectively and you may be able to do a good job of it, but you really can't do it precisely and accurately. Now, the quality of your companies, once again, it's kind of subjective. Defense industry, you can put a score on that based on the annual defense expenditure. So many of these things are to a large extent subjective, and if you ask five different experts or researchers, they will probably give you five different answers for the scores of these things, like the quality of the education system, the robustness of the business environment, and so on and so forth. Which is why you typically don't uh, include those factors, those subjective factors, in constructing uh, a nation's hard power score. The only factors you can reliably use to construct a hard power score, calculate a hard power score, are publicly available numbers that no one can dispute. That's how you do it. That way, nobody can dispute your calculations, or at least the reasoning behind your calculations. The equation, the formula that you use is up to you, and some portion of that has to be classified, hopefully. But that's how you do it. But overall, you're right that the US is way, way, way ahead of all other nations. Although the one nation that comes kind of close to the US, it's about half of the US, slightly more than the half the US's hard power score is Russia. And then you have China, which is nowhere close to Russia. And then you have India, which is about 3.5 times smaller than China in terms of hard power score. So that's the way the world is currently, the power equations are currently aligned in the world right now. So I, to a large extent, agree with you. I wish there was a reliable way of unambiguously assigning a score to a nation's business environment's robustness, to its education system, and so on. But you really can't, which is why I don't include those factors in calculating a nation's hard power score. But the factors that I did mention, I do include those.